Hey guys, welcome to another video. Alright, so this one was a bit late. Um, Meant to get this uploaded, shot, edited, and uploaded a while ago, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So we're almost like 2 weeks into February, and no video yet. Okay, so in the interest of time, let's just jump straight into this review. We are talking about Midshipman's Hope tonight. This is one of many books that I've read in the sci-fi genre. One of the few military sci-fi novels that I've actually enjoyed. It was written by a guy by the name of David Feintuch or Feintuch. I'm not sure. I'll have the name up on screen and you guys can tell me how it's pronounced. If I remember correctly, the book was written in 1994, and it basically it's the story of a midshipman on board a intergalactic cruise, effectively. So we've got the far off into the future in 2194. Space travel has gotten very advanced, and we have a colony called Hope Nation, which is 4 years away from Earth if you go through like hyperspace travel or something like that. And the voyage it starts off okay. There's an accident on the way to Hope Nation, and this midshipman, 17-year-old Nicholas Seafort, is kind of left as the officer in charge, kind of thing. Or well, technically speaking, there's the accident. A whole lot of officers die, and the lieutenant, the sole surviving lieutenant on the ship, then dies of cancer. And so you've got the 17-year-old kid who is the next line officer, so he's the next officer in the line of command, and he has to take over as captain of the ship and kind of make sure that it goes where it's supposed to go. I liked this book. I don't know. I mean, I'd recommend it. I certainly enjoyed it. It was different compared to a lot of the other sci-fi books I've read. This one was just different. It's told in the first person perspective. Everything is done, or rather seen through Nicholas's perspective, because he's the one telling the story. And so you really get sort of an in-depth look at what he's going through. You kind of relate to this character, which I have to say was done really well. Generally, I'm not a huge fan of the first-person perspective in books, but it works well here. We get this kind of theme throughout the book of morality and choice. He knows, or duty and morality and choice, and so on and so on and so on. He knows he has to make decisions which kind of force him to question whether or not what he's doing is the right thing to do, morally speaking. He knows, in principle, that, at least in the world of the book, mutiny can't be tolerated. So when there is a mutiny, just before he becomes captain, the three mutineers are given the death sentence. Now he ends up saddled with the decision of whether or not to actually carry out the executions or pardon the men. And so you kind of get a couple of about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about a chapter and a half to 2 chapters, where he just kind of goes on about he knows that it's morally a bad thing. He kind of questions, okay, yes, killing these people will put the crew in line, because it proves a point. It says mutiny will not be tolerated. But at the same time, I'm taking life. So, where's the balance? And you get a lot of moments like this where he kind of makes a mistake and has to deal with the consequences. Mistakes have consequences here. He lets his guard down at one point, and these guys get on the ship. They kill one of his friends. They kill off a whole lot of his officers. Among these officers is one of his friends, a very young, sort of 14, 15-year-old kid that he was a middy with. And this kid ends up killed in the crossfire, and he spends a lot of the book having nightmares. He sees his friend, he sees the men that he executed, and stuff like that. So you really get the sense that that he's kind of agonizing over it. Now that said, as much as I appreciated that, and I did, I wanted to strangle this character sometimes. I don't think I've ever encountered a character that I just wanted to reach into the book and strangle, just like throttle him. That's just how irritating his constant griping and groaning and all the sort of brooding that he did got. In terms of what I liked and didn't like, I liked the story. It's a very unique take, I think. I don't think I've ever seen a book like this. At the time that I read the book, I hadn't seen, or rather read, anything like it at the time of my first reading back in the summer of 2008 or 2009. And I certainly haven't found anything since that was even remotely as good as this one. So, yeah, I mean, it's not great. There are problems with it. I mean, the world building isn't fantastic. You get a little bit of exposition here and there to say, well, okay, this is what the ship looks like, and you get little tidbits of information scattered throughout the story about the Navy and how the Navy has changed and all of that. So, and that's fun. That's great, but you don't really get a sense of the scale. And what I mean by that is you don't really see that much. I mean, as I said before, mistakes have consequences. Yes, the action scenes are fun, and I mean, I didn't really have that many issues, but the main character goes on and on and on about how certain things have to be done because it's regulation. And now, I have to say, I don't think this was intentional, but it did come across to me as a very preachy kind of, you have to do it this way kind of thing, which wasn't great. But as I said, it doesn't seem to have been intentional. The world building really needed a lot of work, I think. As I said, we get little tidbits of information about how things have changed in the world, and when it changed, and how it changed, and why it changed. We get little bits of information here and there about the technology and how the technology has changed. And I mean, okay, it's fiction, so it's all like pseudoscience as far as I can see, but it makes sense. That said, the world building could have used a lot of work still. I mean, we learn a lot about rules and regulations in the Navy in this book. We learn about, okay, here's the situation, here's the rules that apply to it. But we don't really get information on where those rules came from, or how they came about to begin with. I mean, it could just be, oh, well, the Navy did it 200 years ago, so we kept it. It could be as simple as that, but it would have been nice to know a little bit more about that, I think. Characters were, for the most part, pretty good. Some of them were a bit two-dimensional, a bit too flat for my liking, but other than that, this is a good book, and I would definitely recommend reading it. But only to, like, really not like hardcore fans of this book, or this sort of book. It is a little bit heavy sometimes. It can be a little bit heavy and a bit slow, a bit of a slog to get through. But if you can push through all that, it is definitely worth a read. So, check it out, and that's pretty much all I can say. Is you have to really check it out yourself to sort of really understand where I'm coming from with this. But it's not a book, obviously it's not a book for everybody. I mean, I don't typically read military sci-fi because I'm just not really that into that kind of thing. I mean, I read the Tower and the Hive series by Anne McCaffrey, which I have to say, this book felt very much like an Anne McCaffrey novel. And I realized that sounds like a really odd thing to say, but it's true. I mean, it seemed very much like an Anne McCaffrey novel. It almost makes me wonder if the two authors knew each other and were just sort of throwing out ideas and saying, well, okay, I'm going to use this one. Are you going to use this one? Good, that would be so cool. There were, I believe, 6 other books. The second one was called Challenger's Hope, then it was Prisoner's Hope, and then Fisherman's Hope. And after that was, I think, Children of Hope, then Voices of Hope, and Patriarch's Hope. And I only read the first 4 books in the series. After Fisherman's Hope, I mean, our library only had the first 4 books, and I loved the first one. I loved the second one. I liked the third one a lot. The fourth one I felt like the fourth one kind of dropped the ball, and it just sort of killed my interest in the series. And oddly enough, I'm not the only one who felt that way. But I did read the first 4 books. Didn't like the fourth one as much. The other 3 books were released posthumously because, unfortunately, the author passed away a while back before he could actually finish. I think it was he was working on an 8th book in the series or something like that, and he passed away before he could finish it. So, but I don't think I'm going to read the next 3 books in the series. I've kind of lost interest in that. Unfortunately, this is not a series you can just pick up one book, like at random. You can't go and pick up the 3rd book and read the 3rd book. You can't read these books out of sequence. You have to start with Midshipman's Hope and work your way through. Which does get a bit tedious, I'm going to be very honest. It's still a good read, so if you are into this kind of thing and you feel like checking it out, if it sounds like something you would enjoy reading, then yeah, check it out. If you're not really into this kind of thing, and you want to kind of give it a shot, try and get into it, I'd say yeah, this is a pretty good one to start with. If you're looking to get into sci-fi, it's probably a bit heavy, but like I said, if you can power through it, kind of push through certain sections, I think it would be a worthwhile read. So, yeah, that's my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to check the book out and then read it and let me know what you think of it in the comments section. Yeah, I guess that's it. I was gonna put a bit of a channel news update thing at the end of this video, but this video is actually longer already at just over 18 minutes than I had intended for it to be. So yeah, it's the news video it is going to come out. It'll just have to come out at a later time. Definitely before the end of February or the start of March or something like that. Anyway, guys, that is my review of Midshipman's Hope. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Probably not the best review I've ever done, I have to be honest, but yeah, hope you enjoyed it anyway. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.